Hey, Coach, just wanted to, get from you the kind of the message you give these guys, the vibe of the team. Obviously, you guys have been in this position before, even in this city before, a Game 6 closeout game in L.A.
Yeah, we just talked yesterday. We talked about having a good day. Yesterday, we watched the film. We saw things that we can do a lot better. We acknowledged that they came out and played with desperation, force, whatever you want to call it. And they had us on our heels to start the game. We talked about that. And the mood of our team has always been pretty consistent as it relates to our culture and how we want to keep things. Obviously, the stakes are higher, and we all know that. But we had a really good film session yesterday, a good locked-in, focused session this morning. And we expect our guys to play well.
Next is Gina Mizell with Suns.com, and then Dwayne Rankin.
Hey, Monty. To go off of that question, I know a lot of people talk about the lack of playoff experience that your group had coming into it, but you have a guy like Chris who they've been up 3-1 in his career and haven't been able to close it out. Then you also have someone like Torrey, who last year his team clawed out of a 3. Like, how much does that help in sort of imparting on the guys that, that fourth one is the toughest one to get?
Oh, no. I mean, I really don't. I don't. I think all of this stuff that you talked about, it's true. But I also think as a basketball fan, and all of us who watch different series, we've seen it. And when you've lived it, you understand the moments better than anybody else. But how it helps you, I'm not quite sure. I just know the experience of it all helps you. It could drive you for sure. I'm sure they've talked about it. It's good to have those guys and those perspectives on our teams because it makes for high focus in your meetings and your shoot-arounds. The details are certainly expected to be gone over and discussed because those guys have been in it. And so I think from that perspective, just talking it out, I think it helps you, having guys who've been on both sides of it.
Next is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic, followed by Dave McMenamin.
It comes over here. Who during the season has played the kind of small ball and quick with that, and maybe you can even draw from and say, okay, guys, we face this against this team or that team that maybe can help.
Yeah, I mean we've done it a few times this year. Houston's played like that against us. Different teams have done it from time to time. They may not be as small with a 6'8", 6'9" guy like Morris, but we've seen it a ton this year. Brooklyn's done it. Miami does it. Bam's like 6'9". So we've been in those. It's the small ball part and then the switching and that kind of thing. But it's not anything we haven't seen. I think our guys, when you miss shots, it makes it look a lot worse than what it is when you watch the film. The shot quality wasn't terrible. We missed a ton of shots, but it was more about the start of the game that we all were not happy with, along with them playing the way that they did, and we had to acknowledge that they came out with more force than we did.
Next is Dave McMenamin with ESPN, followed by Kellen Olson.
Monty, the way you guys have gone through this journey from, I think, the second best record in the regular season, taking out the defending champs in the first round, taking out the MVP in the second round, has that affected the group's belief that you belong in this moment? Because you are still relatively a young group that hasn't played together that long.
Not sure. I don't know if that. I think it's given us confidence because we didn't have much experience at all, most of our guys. But I think every series is different in that there's nothing you can really pull from that will help you with this, you know what I mean, other than the learning that goes with the every possession mentality that you have to have. And that's basically what you take from every playoff game is that you just can't mess with any possession and how hard you have to play every second you're on the floor. I think that's the one common denominator that you pull from every series. It's like, man, that was mentally and physically, you know, taxing because you were so involved in every possession. And I think that's what our young guys have learned being in the playoffs and going as far as we have.
Next is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports, and then Mark Medina.
Hey, Coach. As a coach, what do you want your perimeter players to do in terms of the balance between cutting and maintaining spacing and staying out, because the cuts can come together in the middle sometimes, and you want to maintain it, but you also don't want the offense to stagnate. Yeah,
we've always talked about ball and player movement. That's who we are. The biggest thing is getting the ball down the floor a lot quicker than we did. You know, when we do that, we're much more efficient and we have more time to get to our options. But I don't want our guys being robots. You know, I don't want a guy to have to be in a certain spot when he can make a read. You know, I want guys to be able to play basketball. And if they feel a need to cut, that's going to give us an advantage. You know, we talk about we score, not me score. We have a we score mentality. If you see a cut, then cut. If there's an opportunity to go extreme corner, then stay there. So schematically, you know, we'll do some things a little bit differently tonight, but we don't want to robot our guys at all.
Next is Mark Medina with USA Today, followed by Sam Amick.
I'm going to say, knowing how Chris is as a leader, what are like the most notable examples that jump out to your mind of how he's captured that for this group this year?
I mean, I think the time that he spends with guys off the floor, you know, he and Book have gotten so close. They live right by each other. And so a lot of the group get-togethers are at one of their houses, you know, so that's something that you don't see much, and not this year with COVID. But the other areas after shoot around, how many guys he'll take and talk to them about the angles of the screen or a certain situation. With a young team like ours, he'll share a message with them that I just shared, but he'll help them understand it a lot better than I did. So that helps me and certainly helps our players.
Next is Sam Amick with The Athletic, followed by Chris Herring.
We see all over this league young stars where if they're doing their thing earlier in their career, but the team's not advancing, they get frustrated. And you've talked about when you did the job 2 summers ago, you and Book connect right away and talk. What was his perspective then on like everything that came before you, where it was going, his level of frustration? Like, how did he feel about this scene with his franchise?
You know, Sam, I don't know. You know what I mean? The one thing I didn't want to do was ask any questions or say anything that was going to disrespect the past or any coach or any system. What I tried to do was talk to him about the things that I thought we could help him with, the kind of culture we wanted to have and the way we wanted to play. And he would always remark to me, Coach, this is how I've always wanted to play. This is how I feel basketball should be played. And I would listen to some things that, you know, he would say about style and where he wanted the ball and that kind of thing. But I tried my best to not make any comments or statements about the past. It wasn't going to help us at all. I'd heard enough, you know, and a lot of the stuff that was said didn't really matter to me. I don't think coaches teach bad stuff, nor do I think players want to lose. I just think you have to do your best when you get the opportunity. And he's been a really good partner with me since day one.
Got time for 3 more. Next is going to be Chris Herring with Sports Illustrated, followed by Law Murray.
Hi, Monty. I guess I would just ask you, there's, the conventional wisdom, if you had to look at what people that are betting are doing or anything like that, when Chris is out for games 1 and 2, I assume that certain fans and certain people make an assumption about what that will mean for you guys. When Kawhi is out against Utah, I assume people make an assumption about that. Now you've got Giannis and Trae Young, obviously. If you had to guess, what would you say is different about this year, or what it's like to coach against a team that's down a star, since I don't know if you would say it's had less impact, or that obviously it hasn't swung stuff the way that normally we would expect it to from the outside. But what is it like to coach against a team that's down a star player and keeping your guys engaged enough to where they don't look past that?
I mean, we understood not only how good they were without Kawhi, but the coaching, the experience that they had that we didn't have. That was, the respect that I had and our team had for them. Obviously, when you lose a guy like Kawhi, it affects your team. I mean, we didn't have Chris for a couple of games, and we played with the Lakers, and he was playing with one arm. And so we certainly understand what that's like. As far as coaching against them, you always coach for the best team. You know what I'm saying? You prepare like they're going to come out and be the best team you've ever played against, no matter who's on the floor. And you know certain guys are going to step up. You're trying to do your best to, negate that. But I'm not quite sure how else to answer that. As a coach, you're always preparing for the best from your opponent. It's just a respect thing.
Final 2 questions are Law Murray with The Athletic and Melissa Rowland.
Hey, Monty. So the routine's been, especially since late January, after the stretch where the team was parked with COVID, team's been great responding to losses all season. You were great in Game 4 responding to how Game 3 went. And I felt like you said similar things after Game 5 as far as not playing a full 48, the physicality and everything. So how do you feel as far as the level of confidence in the team and duplicating tonight what you kind of did in Game 4 with an increase in intensity?
Well, we want to do better than that. We scored like 84 points in that game. So that's we really want to do a lot better than that. The defense and the mentality has to be at that point and higher tonight. That's the deal. Like every game in the playoffs, you have to bring more than you brought the last game. We certainly have a team that has great remorse after a loss. We have a lot of sore losers on our team and on our staff. We understand what we're going against tonight, and we have earned the right to be in this position. And it takes a lot of hard work and mental stamina to overcome what we've overcome, and we're going to use that to our advantage, knowing that we're playing against a tough opponent. So we're going to need more than we had in Game 4, for sure.
Final question is Melissa Rowland with Fox Sports.
Hey, Monty. Over the last couple of days, a lot of guys have talked about how much of an impact Chris Paul has had on that. I'm curious, what would you say is the biggest way that he's impacted you?
I've known Chris for 11 years now, so the impact, we'd be here all day talking about, our friendship, our talks. I think the coolest thing that I've indirectly been a part of was, having my daughter at the All-Star game, working for the NBA, doing grunt work, probably shoveling up peanut shells or something for the league. And Chris recognized her and chased her down in a room where there was a bunch of people, I think, and just went and, introduced himself again and just spent time talking to her. And she called me or texted me later on. She's like, Dad, Chris Paul came, and found me in the room. And I'm sure it had a huge effect on all the younger interns around her when she's sitting there doing what she's doing, licking envelopes or whatever. And here comes Chris Paul into the room to say, hey, he said her name and they talked for a while and that kind of thing. That's the impact he's had on me. It's bigger than basketball. There's a connection and kinship there from the tough talks, the coaching, the texts, FaceTime watching games. That probably sticks out to me, along with a few other things.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Coach.